Government contracting, it's the best kept secret, I think, for a lot of people. You can make so much money in government contract. One good contract can change your life. You're going to work long hours, you're going to be up late, and you're going to wake up early and you're going to go to bed late, but it's all worth it. Anything that's great took a lot of hard work and perseverance. And then when you start winning, don't stop doing those things. These are the things that they don't teach you, like financial literacy in school. And like a big part of estate planning is people don't realize that.
So why don't we do this? Why don't we go ahead and introduce yourself and who you are to the people?
Alrighty. My name's Roberta Moore, and I'm the president and CEO of Amoorer Incorporated. We started in 2002 as a healthcare provider for a lot of the military treatment facilities, Walter Reed, Fort Belvoir, and the likes, also the VA hospitals. And one of the things that we pivoted into is financial literacy and financial planning, estate planning, and things of that nature.
And so when you were doing the healthcare stuff, some of the things that we discussed on the last show was how you did some OCONUS work.
OCONUS work is outside the continental United States. So you can have OCONUS where a doctor is outside the continental United States and he needs someone to fill here in the United States. So you're doing OCONUS in that regard, or you're actually providing services outside of the United States. Like we did a lot of work in Europe. We were in Japan and in Europe, and we did things like behavioral health, where we were providing licensed clinical social workers there.
Nice. And so in the last episode, we talked about essentially how you built that business, right? One of the things that you just mentioned is you have a board of advisors. Is that something that you set up early on in the business?
I think you have a board of advisors, whether you know it or not, but because you go to your bankers, your lawyer, your CPA, all of those people are a part of helping you to put your business together or help you to handle your business. And so over time, just going to those SBA had the emerging leaders and programs like that, and they recommend that you have a board of advisors. And so they would consist of your lawyer, your bankers, someone else in the industry, people that will advise you on what moves to make and how to pivot, things you should and should not do. Because as a business owner, I think that we're like the cowboys. We're like, ride 'em, cowboy, and we're ready to go. And we need somebody to tell us to hold our horses, hold your horses and think about this. Is this really the best decision to make? And I think when you're doing it alone and you don't have those professionals helping you, you make a lot of unnecessary mistakes.
No, that makes a lot of sense. And again, emerging leaders, I'm not sure if that program's available to all small businesses or just those who were right under the SBA's guides.
No, it's available to all small businesses. It's just a criteria. I believe you have to have like 200K or 250K in revenue or something like that. One employee other than yourself. Don't quote me on any of this, but I was there like 8 years ago.
And that's what I meant. That's kind of what I meant. Like that's what I meant by not available to everyone. They can't just sign up like a webinar type of thing.
Right.
That's yeah. So there are some criteria to qualify and be eligible.
Yes.
Right. So, but outside of that, right, you don't have to have a certification. You don't have to be in any type of programs. You just have to have a minimum time in business and some revenue as well. Correct?
Yes, that's correct. And then at the time when I applied, I had to fill out an application, and then they actually interviewed me.
Okay. That's not too bad.
No, it's not so bad.
Yeah. So emerging leaders is one of the things that helped you. I saw recently you did an alumni thing with emerging leaders on your profile.
Yes, that was so awesome. It was really, really good. It was great because they put different cohorts together. So it wasn't just my cohort for 2016, I believe it was 2015, 2016. It was, newer cohorts and all of that. And as a result of that, I'm actually mentoring an 8A woman-owned business. I feel like, 8A, I think SBA and the program, they're looking for the younger, Robertas and the younger, Erics and
Right.
they're looking for them. So and when you see yourself and someone else that's in the program that's doing well, then you want to be there as a sounding board for them and help them along the way.
Nice. Let's talk through some of your lessons learned, both good, bad, and in between. That, again, people can listen to this and be mentored just by listening to the conversation that we're having today.
I started the program in 2005. So that's 9 years, 5 to 14
Okay.
is 9 years. Yeah. So back then it was phenomenal. Although I came in after all of the greats who were getting, sole source contracts for hundreds of millions of dollars. They didn't have like a threshold. And so they made the program a little bad because they were going to the government wearing their fur coats. They go into the government offices in their fur coats and their Rolls Royce and all of that. So then it made it really bad. And they said, okay, wait a minute, maybe this program needs to be cut back some. So they had a threshold that you could only be sole sourced. I think it was 3.5 million when I was in the program.
Right.
So, I mean, they've upped it since then, but prior to that, there was no real cap. Like you could get sole sourced a $20 million contract. And so that changed. One of the other things is when I came into the program, it went electronic. Prior to it going electronic, I was trying to, apply, and you had it was a paperwork nightmare. And so now I think it's so much better that everything is electronic. I was able to get in a lot easier then. And then the BOS, your business opportunity specialist, when I was in the program, you could call them. They would, if you had a contract and they needed SBA to say you were eligible to receive it via sole source, your BOS would have to send that letter. And when I was in the program, having a good BOS was like the best thing you could, have. Otherwise, you might miss out on opportunities. You might lose an opportunity because you weren't able to get in touch with your BOS, or she didn't send the letter. And, time is of the essence and things of that nature. But I feel like those were the good old days.
Well, it's interesting because, right, the decline started in 2009 for the amount of small business participating. So it looks like whatever would happen, whatever switch flipped on or off, right? We went from 121,000 small businesses to now less than 65,000 small businesses winning contracts from 2009 to 2022. I mean, that's a drastic, stark difference.
Well, you know what that's about.
No, tell us. What do you think?
Bundling contracts.
Right.
They bundled some of the contracts so that it's not going to just be set aside for an 8A. They put some of that work, or they lumped a lot of work into bigger contracts. And so that kind of cuts out a smaller 8A
Mm-hmm.
from actually being sole source that work.
Yeah. So that's interesting. Because I've read that we go from bundling to unbundling them to bundling back, right? And so over the history, we tend to go back and forth between what's, is it good to bundle it because it's more efficient versus non-bundling?
Yeah, I think bundling fosters teaming and teamwork. I think it fosters that. But I also think that it hurts some of the smaller companies because they can't go at it alone. A lot of times they have to team, and they need a bigger company to back them in order to be able to participate.
And that puts them at risk.
Yes, it puts them at risk because now you're going up against bigger, maybe a small that has a big behind it,
Right now, I know you said earlier in the beginning, you said you pivoted. Are you not doing any more government contract work, state, local, municipal?
Not like I was when I was in the program.
Okay.
I feel like now in the beginning, I was more like a prime on everything. I was priming all my own work. I don't take the lead a lot in a lot of opportunities.
Okay. So now you're doing more subcontract work?
Yes.
Okay. Gotcha. Makes sense. No, and you're still doing the same thing, health services, placing people.
Yes. On the healthcare side, but like I said, I've been doing a lot. Really, I've been building my own financial services empire. Is what I've really been doing, and
Okay.
yes, and it's killing me, but that's what That's what I've been doing. It's mainly just helping um like our firefighters and police officers and all of them to get these no cost benefits and things of that nature. So it's just been it's like when you start from the bottom, when you're doing the 8A, you're doing those late hours, early morning and late nights when you're trying to build something that is going to be that's going to sustain itself over time.
So you want to talk about it?
Sure, sure. Absolutely. I think I mentioned when we were talking offline about how the working class is the most underinsured population. So most of the time we have work insurance, we have group insurance, we have all of those things. But then by the time you're 65, you retire and those things go away. And I see like elderly people that have worked for the federal government all their lives, and now they're paying, you know, hundreds of dollars a month just to get coverage. And so these are the things that they don't teach you, like with financial literacy in school. And like a big part of estate planning is life insurance. People don't realize that, but a lot of our leaders in this country have used their policy to start businesses, to do use their money for the campaign and things of that nature. And you can't start at 65. You know, those are things that people just don't know. So any government contractor that partners with me, then I would provide them the same no cost benefits that we do for a lot of the unions. Like, so we work with, like I said, the police union, the firefighter unions, the teachers unions. We work with the Teamsters, all those unions to provide their permanent benefits for them. So that's really what we've been doing. And like I said, any government contractor that teams with us, we would provide them the no cost benefits that we do for the unions, such as we have a family information guide that works in conjunction with a will or a trust. A lot of people don't have a will or a trust set up for them as of yet. And so we help them to get those things in place that's legally binding. And so those are things that we can do at no cost. Also, that works with the family information guide. We also have a child safety kit, because a lot of parents, if your children were to be abducted, you know, it's a 90% chance that if they're not found in the first 24 hours, that you may not find them. So we have a child safety kit that we can give at no cost to those who partner with us, as well as a AIL Plus card that will give them discounts on like prescription eyewear and things of that nature. So those are things that we can do and help the population. So I'm not doing it mainly for money. A lot of people are in financial industry for the money. I'm in it for the education and really helping the working class people, because even government contractors, a lot of times we don't have a retirement when we leave government contracting. You know, we have to prepare. And if you don't have a financial advisor or someone helping you along the way, you make those decisions much later in life when you're not even insurable, or you're, you know, too old. Or, I mean, we're all one doctor's visit away from being insurable.
Right. That's very
So,
true.
and so a lot of people don't understand that. And I always say the Rockefellers, when the baby is born, they put $1 million policy on them and they use that for school, and they use it for this, if they want to start their business and things of that nature. And a lot of times we just don't know. We're the working class, you know?
Yeah, no, I agree with you. My friend um, Cedric Nash started the Black Wealth Summit to talk about some of those issues, and educating how to build wealth, and right, teaching the lessons that are not being taught, like you said, in schools. And so uh, he also made his money off government contracting, and now he's teaching how to build wealth. So he's written a book. He's gone on a book tour. He's now starting a podcast where he's interviewing celebrities and entertainers, but also talking about how they can, build. They're making their money, right? But how to preserve their money over the long term. So that's very interesting.
And the reason why is because government contracting, it's the best kept secret, I think, for a lot of people.
Right.
You can make so much money in government contracting, but it's kind of like there's this analogy that you will meet your money. So like if it's like a person who is, and this goes with, the emotional intelligence, what you were talking about, the IQ and EQ. And so basically, if you win the lottery, so say just a regular person just goes out, they get this winning ticket and they win the lottery, in like a year or two, if that, all the money's gone. That's the same with government contracting. A lot of 8As made a lot of money, but they go out of business because they didn't have the right people around them. It's like basketball players, celebrities, all of that. If you don't have the financial literacy, if you don't understand estate planning, if you don't understand, investments and things of that nature, then regardless of how much money you make, you're not going to put it in the right place to make money for you.
The question I would have, how do you know who to trust?
You really don't know who to trust. And when you do have money, people come after you. They do come after you to try to get your money. Uncanny people. So it is difficult. And that's why I think we need to start when you don't have money, before you get the contracts, and to learn all of those things, and to have a plan of action of what you're going to do when you get the money and how you're going to use it to invest in your future.
Okay. No, that makes sense. So let's talk about, right, because I know, I guess sometimes people are looking at it and they're saying, hey, I'm just trying to figure out how to do contracts. Now you want me to figure out how to do financial planning as well, right?
And that's not what I'm getting at. I'm not expecting you to do that. I'm expecting you to talk to the right people. And that's why I jumped on this podcast with you, to bring that up, because we need people that look like us, or that have worked in government contracting, or, that can help us.
Sure.
And so that's what I'm getting at. It's not just, hey, I'm a financial advisor. I'm a financial advisor that was also a government contractor, or is a government contractor. And that being the case, I understand, because most of the government contractors, like the 8As, after the 8A program, we talked about this before, they die. So you need those people in place, and those advisors in place during the process, even before the process, before you get your first big contract.
Yeah, that makes actually that does make sense. I think it's interesting because when I talk to people, if you're not planning for when you graduate, midway through, right, you're likely to die.
Definitely, you're likely to die. Yes, and I attribute this to 8A. I give SBA their credit, because they work really hard to prepare you for graduation,
Correct.
because they do have the annual review that you have to submit. As an 8A contractor, you have to submit your annual review to SBA, and they request, like, basically, what is your mix of 8A work as well as outside of 8A work, and how do you plan to pivot out of the program? How do you plan to graduate and stay alive, basically?
Yeah. But it's interesting because we often find that as a hurdle and as a burden to do.
I know, I did too. I did. I was like, I got to do this annual review, but it was really there as a safeguard.
Yeah. No, why do you think that we feel that way?
Because we're not ready to graduate. We're having fun in school. Like, we're in high school and we don't want to graduate. We want to stay here. So you have to grow up. You have to grow up. It's like, it helped you to a certain extent, but you do have to grow up.
But why do you think even still, why, I mean, we know we got to grow up but why do you think the reporting and by having to do the reports, why do we not see it as them trying to help us and when we're in it?
Oh, because we're a small business. We're a small business and we have a lot of work to do. We're worried about keeping the contract and keeping the government happy, and performing. So that in itself is a lot of work, a lot of reporting, just the proposal process, bidding, all of those things take a lot of work and time and attention and reporting. And so when it comes to reporting to SBA, it's just one more report, and we're too busy in the business, working in the business instead of working on the business.
There you go. I like that. Yeah. Okay. I can go for that. I can go for that. I know you said the SBA, you believe they do a good job, but do you think that there's some room for improvement?
Oh, absolutely. And I think they're aware of it as well. It's a numbers game. So they want to show that, look, we've awarded these contracts to 8As. And so with that being the case, we're on to the next. So there's no real development. We want you to report. If you do well, then great. And then you're, a poster child. But we have a certain amount of contracts, and we're just distributing them between the 8As. And so, it's your turn. And then they're looking for, like I said, the younger Roberta, or, and then they go on to the next company. So I do believe that understanding it. And then you also have to realize that sometimes the government officials that are in place have never been a business owner. So, there's a lot on a small business, as opposed to, we have to pay for our own desk. We have to pay for, our own things. Whereas you go into a facility, you have these things provided for you and you get to do your job. Whereas for us, we have to provide the desk, the chair, the lighting, the place to go, and the work, and then we have to actually go and get the work to pay for those things. So a lot of times there's a disconnect. Yeah, there's a disconnect between government and entrepreneurs. Does that make sense?
But yes, absolutely. It does make sense. I was just wondering because I see that all of these different certifications, women, WeBank certification, and now the Black Chamber is talking about having a certification, and you've already got MBE and DBE and SBE and CBE and WSBE and 8A. And to me, that's the burden. I don't know. I could be just looking at it from my perspective.
No, I agree with you. I think that is a burden. Partial to 8A because 8A did a phenomenal job for me and my family. So I'm partial to that program, but I do agree with you that all of the certifications, I've seen people that are 8A and never received an 8A contract. I've been, MBE and all of those certifications, woman-owned business and all of that. But if you don't get any contracts, then it is a burden. Right. You just have all of these people applying for certifications and they qualify, but they don't have any work.
Yeah, no, and that's what I'm saying, because I think that and lies for me some of the problems, right? Like it's they're duplicating efforts where it's unnecessary. I feel as if we had one certification, right, that we could submit with all of our quals, and then you could be reciprocity across states and cities and municipal governments, then I think that would serve the small business best.
I agree, because even there's certifications on the commercial side.
Correct.
So you're saying, you tell them I'm woman owned, I'm an MBE, and they say, who cares? You got to go get this certification if you want to work with Amazon. Right. If you want to work with, and that says that you're a minority owned business or that you're a woman owned business. And so it's like government doesn't talk to industry and industry doesn't talk to government. You're thinking, well, if I did this with the federal government, that at least, I should have the necessary certifications. But no, you still have to get these certifications on the commercial side.
No, that's true. That's true. So for the small business out here listening, right, what are some of the things that you would like to talk to them about, good, bad, and different? If you had this giant poster board and you say, hey guys, what would you like to say?
So I would say you're going to work long hours. You're going to be up late, and you're going to wake up early, and you're going to go to bed late, but it's all worth it. Anything that's great took a lot of hard work and perseverance. So that's what I really say. It's those small, tedious tasks, the everyday things that you're doing, that over time, it builds expertise until, you actually start winning. And then when you start winning, don't stop doing those things. because most of the time that's what it is. People wonder like what changed when they start winning and then they're not winning anymore. What changed? You're not doing the small things that you were doing before. So never become complacent.
It's definitely not. And that's what I'm here for. And that's why I created my own program so I can tell my truth, interview the people I want to interview, talk to the people and, showcase them. And then, like you said, just be transparent and then let people decide for themselves the route they want to take. So I love it. And because again, like I said, it does transform your life. So even if you die, it got people to a certain place that they might not have got to otherwise. So I'm okay with that.
Right. Right.
I'm okay with that because we didn't have this wealth before. We didn't have this prosperity before. We didn't have this success before government.
Right.
So this avenue, this path, like I said, I mean, hopefully some of our people kept some of the money. They did some of the right things with the money so that it could outlast that time where they're in business. And so that's what you're here to talk about. And that's what we're here to share is that if they think that way and they prepare themselves that way and they plan accordingly, then even if the business doesn't work itself out, they should have built a moat around their family. They should have got some investments. They should have secured some policies and did some financial preparation so that they can also go to Germany and Paris, and, Singapore and all that stuff, and still be okay financially.
Right. But that's the point. I mean,
That's the point.
And the thing is that you make so much money when you're making the money.
Right.
When you're making the money, you make so much money. But like you said, it puts you in a position that your family never would have been in. And I'm one of 8. I come from poverty. I come from nothing. And so I had to work really, really hard I have this poster or this picture of a man with carrying the whole world on his shoulders. I mean, I'm not saying I'm a man, but I felt like that was me, like I'm carrying my family, because they didn't have those opportunities. And when you talk about those two, your little niece and nephew, that's my life. That's what I had to do for my own. And so I agree with you 100% that hopefully you get the contracts and you secure them and you make the right decisions and it puts your family in a different place. I mean, one contract can change your life. One good contract can change your life.
And that's what we're here to share. And that's the message I want to leave people with. So thank you so much for coming on. Been a great time. I like that with Club Shay Monique.
Okay, sounds like a plan.
But thank you again.
Thanks so much.